Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm down at the storage yard today and we're going to be replacing the awning light. Now, if you've got a Swift, or probably most modern caravans, it's a very similar light, the awning light here. And ours has filled with water and it no longer works, so it needs to be replaced. So today I'm going to show you how I'm going to replace my awning light. I'll show you the replacement awning light as well and the incredible price it is. Also, I'll show you the tools we're going to use. So first of all, let's have a look at what we're going to replace it with and also what tools we require. So here is the replacement light that I've purchased. It was £69.99p plus a £5 P&P from Caravan Tech Services Limited. I'm not associated with them in any way. It was just that they were the only one on the internet at the time that had one in stock. But it's still ridiculous, 75 quid. Right, let's just take the cling film off because it didn't come in a box for me 75 quid. Right, so let's turn it round first of all. That's the top section, which is great because it's nice and flat so we can get a good level on it. The LEDs are top and underneath as well. Turning it round, we have a double-sided sticky pad all the way around, but we're going to be strengthening that with some Sikaflex, which I'll show you in the tool section in a minute. We have this shrink wrap cable here, and on the end of the cable we have a plug socket, which I'm hoping mine is the plug socket. If it's not, it's going to be these two spade connectors here. Now if you're going to use the spade connectors, make sure you wrap some insulation tape around them individually once you've actually connected them and tested them. Now, if not, you could use shrink wrap if you've actually got the shrink tubing stuff. I'm hoping I don't have to use these, and like I say, mine is this plug. So that is the actual item that we're going to be replacing. So let me show you the tools now. So here are the tools we're going to be using today. I've got some blue masking tape, which is slightly low tack, so we don't get sticky marks on the side of the caravan. We've also got a Stanley knife blades, a plastic razor blade scraper, some sealant remover, the Sikaflex 522, and obviously the tube gun for the Sikaflex. Now off camera there is some isopropyl alcohol in the spray so we can clean it up afterwards, but these are basically what we're going to be using. So I've brought my steps from home, basically because I'm not quite tall enough to reach right to the top with my steps. If you're tall enough, you probably get away with your caravan steps. First thing we're going to do is use the masking tape. Now the caravan, you can level it as much as you want, but really what you want to go off is the edge of the awning rail underneath here. So that's what we're going to use as our level. So let's mask it up. Okay, so I've put my masking tape on now, and the crucial one really is the top one, so it's level with the actual light itself, and also these two end ones, just to show you roughly where the end finish will be of the replacement light. The one underneath is really there for protection while I start poking and prodding at it to remove it. So I'm going to get me softener now and see if I can release this without having to scrape and dig at it, because I don't want to damage the side of the van. So I've used this sealant on other jobs we've done on the caravan before. It's very good. I can recommend this. There's loads on the market, but this was a cheap one from B&Q, or I think Screwfix, I can't remember which. Anyway, I'm going to be painting it on. I'm going to be leaving it for the required amount it says on here, which is approximately 15 minutes. So let's do that now. Now make sure you get it all around it. Get all the to the sealant itself. I mean, I'm just examining this, and they didn't even bother Sikaflexing it after they'd put it on. I suppose it's saving money as usual. So I'm going to leave that for 15 minutes now, and we'll see how it gets on. Okay, so we've allowed it 15 minutes, and I'm going to use what I would class as the least lethal, which is the plastic razor blade. I'm going to go all the way around it. It's starting to move already, actually. I said this stuff was good, didn't I? You can see how it's moving. Yeah, that's got it off. So what we need to do now is clean it up and remove all this silicone. So that's what I'm going to do now. There we go. They put some on the inside, but they've not put any on the outside. So that's some of it off. I'm gonna just come off camera now, and I'll apply some more of the silicone remover and see if we can get the rest of it off and clean it off. So I'll get on with that now. Now, the one thing I didn't mention before we started this video is make sure all your 12-volt system's completely isolated and it's not switched on. You don't want to get yourself a shock or cause it to fuse and cause damage to the 12-volt system. So remember, belts and braces, make sure the electricity's off, and certainly the 12-volt. So I've got the last bit here to actually remove. I wanted it all off around the actual hole that Swift have drilled to allow the cable to feed through, because I wanted to start with nice fresh Sikaflex. So I've got most of that off now. There's a little bit at the top here, and you can see it's in dirt actually, which is handy because it gives us a reference for our replacement. But we still have that guide with the actual masking tape, even though it has ripped in certain parts. Now, I'm lucky because mine is the plug type, so I'm just going to unplug that now. You just pinch it and pull, and that's the old one removed. And as you can see, they just put a few little zigzags on, but it's not protected this edge, which is where the water gets in. I'll show you off on camera a little bit later. So finally, before we start looking at our replacement, I'm just going to use a bit of isopropyl alcohol. Get any last residue that I might have left on off, so that we've got a nice clean area to work with, and it's going to allow the new one to stick properly. Now we are quite lucky because we managed to get this cable out without having to remove inside the controller, which is great. It's a lot more easier to do. So I'm pleased about that, because otherwise this would have been a long video. So we're almost ready to go now, and we can offer up the new light. And before we actually start sticking it down, we're just going to connect it up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go inside the caravan, switch the 12 volt on and test it. Okay, so we're ready for testing now. I've used a little bit of masking tape and I've masked over the other spade connectors because we don't need them. So I'll just stick this into here like so. Now it goes one way, it's very easy. You can see this little clip here, I hope you can, in my hand. If you look at the actual connection, there's a little lug on the top there, and that is the clue as to which way it goes. Just slip it on just like so, and it's now done. So I'm just going to pop that on the roof for a moment while I get access, switch the 12 volt on, and we can test it to make sure it works. Okay, so I've switched the power on in the caravan, switched on the light for the awning light. Let's see if it's worked. There we go. Excellent. Really pleased with that. All I have to do now is feed the wires through here and then fill the hole as much as I possibly can with silicone. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we had to have a little break there because the battery packed up on the camera. So I've swapped over batteries and we're good to go again. Now, as I was saying before, what we need to do is, once the wires are nicely seated, we need to fill this hole with some Sikaflex, and as much as you possibly can, so that it gives it a nice good seal. Now, it doesn't have to be pretty, because mine certainly isn't. Off camera. So here we go. Nice big dollop of Sikaflex there. Then we need to peel this back, remove that, and then we can mount the actual fresh awning light. Now, as this sticker goes all the way around, you need to nick it like so, so that you've got two ends. Otherwise it'll get stuck. So we're going to do that now. Just remove that. And then we're going to seat our awning light where we want it. There we go, that's looking great. Perfect. That should go off. But not content with that, what we're going to do is we're going to run a bead of silicone all the way around here. Once I've removed this tape, and it should be ready. But one more quick test before this goes off. So looks like it's working. So we've now got a line all the way around, which at first I was going to remove the tape, but I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to use that as a guide for my Sikaflex. So what I'll do now is I'll seal it up, and then I'll come back to you when I've finished and show you the final result. There's just the corner pieces to do now. So it's all ready to go. We can slowly peel off the masking tape in a moment, and I'll show you what it looks like. Smudged a little bit. I'll tidy that up in a moment. Last piece of masking tape. Just needs a touch there. So this is how I finished it off, and as you can see, it's been sealed all the way around. All the edges of the actual clear plastic section, if you will, are now sealed in. So this should last a lot longer than the original. Okay, so what caused the problem in the first place? Well, if you can see on camera there, hopefully, this has actually got a lot of water inside it. There we go. By my thumb there. So it's actually leaking water out of it at this moment in time, and the reason being is there's no actual seal between the clear plastic and the grey plastic that I can see. Admittedly, it is difficult to see whether there is a seal because it's covered in dirt, but nonetheless it is leaking out. My fingers are wet. So do we say this is a manufacturing error, or do we say it's an actual fitting error? You could argue either way, to be honest, but from my point of view, you could fit this, and if you ran the silicone all the way around it when it was first fitted, we wouldn't be sat having this conversation, I don't think. So for me, for the sake of you know, a couple of quid to actually pay someone to seal it and use some Sikaflex, it's worth it, in my opinion. Now, if you have a brand new Caravan, you could tackle it yourself and do what I've done, or if you're a bit bothered about your warranty or anything like that, or you're not very handy with your tools, then take it back to your dealer and politely ask them if they wouldn't mind sealing this, because it is a common problem and it does need to be addressed. Otherwise you'll end up 7 years down the line, like me, having to have it replaced. Well folks, that is another successful job and repair to the Caravan. I hope you don't have to go through this same problem as I do. Like I said earlier in the video, if you've got a new Caravan, just bob it back to the dealers if they've not sealed it, and ask them kindly if they wouldn't mind running a bead of Sikaflex round it. It's going to save you a lot of money and hassle further down the line. Well, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. But in the meantime, bye for now.